You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, Bold and the Beautiful fans. Today, we're going to take a look at what we think were the absolute worst storylines of 2024 on the CBS soap opera. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and we'll chat about Taylor's recast, Luna's pivot, and broken heart syndrome, among other plots in our number 5 to number 1 countdown to the worst of the year. Some were bad from the start. Others changed midstream in obvious rewrites, and some flat out enraged fans. Please subscribe if you're not following us. Let's get started now with number 5 on our list of the worst plots this past year on Bold as we count down to the number 1 worst plot of 2024. And by the way, until Brad Bell gets out of the writer's room completely, I don't see drastic improvement, although a few storylines this year did twist their way into interesting. Number 5, Bill's lame love life. This is the worst underuse and misuse of a beloved character. From Katie rejecting Bill to him trying again with Brooke to insta-love with Poppy, Lee as a romantic red herring, and the not daughter kissing. It's all just blech. And the worst, of course, was lunatic Luna Nozawa trying to get it on with him 5 minutes after finding out he wasn't really her daddy. It has been so long since Bill had a good or interesting relationship. The thing he had with Sheila was at least mildly interesting for a while until we found out he and Ridge were playing Rent-A-Cop. The thing with Poppy was moving way too fast and was just weird. I'm all for Bill getting a new love interest, so I'm cheering for Taylor with him in 2025 because at least that would be something new. Number 4, swapping Thomas for Carter in Hope's bad and writing out Matt Atkinson while refusing to acknowledge that they've done it. You know, they brought back Paris as the Insta fiance and Thomas was with her. They came back for about 5 minutes, promised us an ASAP wedding, and then exiled the two of them. And if you remember, they tied into getting rid of Thomas. You know, we had that idiotic return of Xander Avant. He showed up to trash Thomas for about 5 minutes, which was much ado about nothing. Then Xander evaporated, basically just so Finn would be a douche about Thomas. And then Finn would tell Hope she deserved better. And then she decided he's better and chasing him. Now we have Hope falling into insta-love with Carter and pulling this coup, dressing in black and turning into a villain. The whole dynamic with her and Steffi was always Hope, good girl, Steffi, naughty girl. And now we have Hope as a company stealer and Carter warming her sheets, you know, all this. And they still haven't brought Thomas back, or at least gave fans the courtesy of knowing they wrote him out, you know, out of the show, out of Hope's life for good. If they're saving Thomas for after she and Carter implode, I guess that's okay. But as of right now, it's just a mess swapping Thomas for Carter. That didn't improve anything. I think it made everything worse. The third worst plot of the year, broken heart syndrome, you guys. An unnecessary recast. I love Rebecca Budig. I do. But why fire Kirsta Allen and then lie and say she was still on contract, and then she has to come out and say she's not, and then go ahead and hire somebody else and undo it? And then bring her back dying, but refusing to get diagnostic tests for sake. She's a medical doctor. And then, you know, denying it was broken heart syndrome, then Ridge yumming with her. You know, it is not broken heart syndrome. I think it's an allergy to waffles. So I guess they need Taylor in LA when Brooke and Ridge split for 5 minutes over him blaming Hope for the coup. You know, her return is kind of doubly pointless with Thomas gone. And now it's all manifesting into this end of the year reunion with them. And once Brooke went nuclear on Ridge for blaming Hope for all this, who I agree was never the mastermind. You know, we have Brooke taking the CEO seat. Some fans theorize she's holding it to get the company back for Ridge. I don't think so, but the bottom line is bringing back Taylor and recasting the role with Rebecca Budig just to be a short-term bed buddy for Ridge while he and Brooke do their, you know, what, every 2 or 3 year split is just, rinse, repeat, the worst. All right, our second worst plot of 2024 is Finn being the biggest moron of all time. Last I checked, to be a doctor, you got to go to medical school, which implies that Dr. John Finnegan is a smart guy. But I think his biceps are bigger than his brains with the way they have written him this year. Sheila, suckered him back into caring about her after she nearly killed him, his wife, and his mom. Then Hope was making blatant moves on him, and Finn was clueless about it for so long when Hope was so obviously thirsting after him. And finally, when Hope spelled it out for Finn using small words so he could understand that she was into him, he said no thanks. Then she drunkenly kissed him, and Finn ratted out Hope to Steffi. That was the first smart thing he had done in most of 2024. But then when Hope fell on him, Finn couldn't figure out she wasn't after him. He wasn't even supposed to be in the building, much less in the design office where his wife does not work. I guess Steffi praising his brawny muscles and his overall hotness, which is a thing, I agree. But I think she stroked his ego to the point that his brain couldn't conceive that somebody else was the person that Hope had the hots for. Liberty Bibberty has been dumber than usual this year. The writers are just lame where he's concerned. And for me, the number one worst plot of 2024 was making Zende a rapist and treating him like crap, and then dreaming up a retcon to clean up the mess they made. The retcon itself has been good. Making Luna a psycho killer, yes, love it. But it was clearly a retcon. If they had planned to make Zende her target and Luna was faking it, it would have been better written from the get-go. Let's be real. When they filmed that, Luna was clearly drugged. She wouldn't have been performative with nobody watching. Remember how out of it she was when nobody was around to see after she left the party? They wrote this bad plot to make Zende look like a creep who shagged his cousin's drugged up girlfriend. And then I think when fan outcry tore them apart, they decided to rewrite it. That's my theory. You will never convince me this was a well thought out plot from the start. It was clearly a pivot. But on the plus side, locking Luna up drove RJ away, which was, another useless recast. Joshua Hoffman's fine, seems like a sweet kid, but the RJ golden child nonsense going from influencer to Insta amazing designer is just redonkulous. B&B already doesn't write well for Black actors 95% of the time, and then making Zende into a rapist was just awful. To watch the way Brooke and others treated him when all he did was find a willing woman in his bed saying, "I want you, baby," that was just awful. And then when it came out that she was drugged, he was relieved. But I didn't see those people circling back around, kissing his butt and apologizing for the way they talked to him. As for the latest plot of Carter and Hope and the coup, that is not on my list of worst plots. I mean, it's sloppy at certain points, but at least I'm interested. That's more than I can say about some of these other storylines. It is going to carry over into 2025, and if it goes badly, maybe it'll make my worst plots of 2025 list for next year. But I hope not. We'll see.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.